Today, we are going to talk a lot about Africa.
Sorry, we don't have electricity.
Sounds like a lot of fun. There are differences in Europe, there are differences in, again, Asia.
Instant bank transfer, it's not reality in Europe.
Glovo invested over 150 million euros already into the African operations.
Sorry, but no shortcuts. How you're going to collect cash?
No shortcuts.
You get your salary, you withdraw it.
How is it different in Africa?
You easily buy bananas from Algeria. If I take Nigeria, so number one payment method is bank transfers. So people don't use like card payment. Many people, they don't know how to create email, or sometimes they even don't know how to read.
Hello, everyone. We're back on our podcast, and today we're lucky to have Dima Rasnovsky, General Manager of African region in Glovo, and our already second-time guest. Dima, thank you for joining us. Very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, hey, thanks you for inviting. And yeah, happy to talk again now about new countries. But yeah, super excited as well.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Maybe you could share a short intro about yourself, what you currently do in Glovo, and maybe just a couple words about your journey in general.
Yeah. So I'm Dima. I am almost 6 years in Glovo. I joined as a general manager of Ukraine. Then we were doing a lot of business and openings in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, so ex-USSR countries. And now from 1st of May, I'm leading Africa for Glovo. And yeah, now like it's a big new journey for us. Many markets, a lot of potential. So now we're operating 6 markets. In Northern Africa, it's Tunisia and Morocco. In West Africa, it's Kenya and Uganda. In East Africa and West Africa, it's Ivory Coast, and also our very big markets in Nigeria, it's somewhere in between. So yeah.
Very cool. Thank you very much again for joining. And today we are going to talk a lot about Africa, about food delivery, specifically in Africa. And to be honest with you, I don't really know much about the region and about the operations there. So I'm super excited to learn more about it and dive a bit deeper into how things are working in different African markets. And to start this conversation, I wanted to talk about the general landscape on the market. So as you mentioned, Glovo is live now on quite a few markets in the North and in the Central Africa. It has quite big operations. At the same time, there is also some competition there, right? And it's Bolt, Uber in Kenya. A lot of things changed on the market. Some companies already pulled out of several markets. Jumia closed down the food delivery operations. Maybe you can share some context about the dynamics and Glovo's place in this dynamics in Africa.
Yeah, it's a very good and complex question. So first of all, yeah, Africa is super big region, and probably first of my learnings was that Africa is much bigger than anybody thinks, because distances are bigger, population is high. So, for instance, you pick like a relatively small country on the map, like Uganda, you see a small piece of land and you think, okay, probably it's like, I don't know, Netherlands. But then you deep dive and you know that there are more than 50 million people living there. So it's like size of Ukrainian population,
Wow.
even more. So then you look at distances, you think, okay, like it's just Africa the same. But then you compare like distance from West Africa to Eastern Africa, and it's much bigger than, again, from Ukraine to Spain or to France. So it's super far from each other. And again, like a lot of people all over the place. Also, when you go to the north, like to country like Morocco, you feel much more yourself like in Europe, not like in Africa and in another type of development. And so Africa is much bigger. Africa is much more diverse than we think, and diverse in many ways. Like it's in terms of landscape, in terms of habits, in terms of competition, and of course, I think that in many of the companies, it's obvious that Africa is the next growth point of the world. a lot of FMCG companies, they have factories, they're developing their operations. And of course, marketplace businesses are coming, ride-hailing businesses are coming. At the same time, despite opportunity and size of the price is huge, sometimes in some markets, it's still early for some reason because of internet penetration or even electricity penetration. Or sometimes you find very harsh regulation when if you want to open the company, you need to have at least 50% share of local person, or you have like weird regulations of what kind of vehicles you can use. For instance, like one of the funny things that in Nigeria, in Lagos, you cannot deliver food on mopeds or only on motorbikes with engine above than 500 something, or on bikes. So you can use it's very weird. And sometimes like when you start to understand all these regulatory details, you understand that sometimes ROI or easiness of entrance might be easier in other places. And also, I mean, Africa is super different in many ways. That's why, I mean, just to take your European playbook and put it in place, I mean, it doesn't work. Like, or differently, like, let's talk about food delivery. I mean, if you go to a pretty good place, I don't know, in Paris, in London, I mean, usually it takes to cook something in like 10 minutes max or 15 minutes, because like you have good operations, you have electricity, you have whatever. But when you go to Africa, many restaurants, they cook on coal. That's why speed is low. So they don't have electricity, or sometimes electricity is going down, or sometimes, I mean, everything is going well, but I mean, connection is bad for some reason. I several weeks ago, I was in Lagos and I was living in a good place. But there was a moment that in 30 minutes, during like 30 minutes period, I could not use any internet. My 5G wasn't working, local one. Roaming was not working, and Wi-Fi wasn't working for some reason. That's why all operational businesses, I mean, they need to learn how to operate in a new reality, like sometimes with low connection, with electricity breakage, I mean, etc. And that's why in all the parts of the Africa, you have pretty different landscape of e-commerce, of food delivery. So, I mean, if you take Northern Africa, I mean, we have like a competitor called Yassir. It's an Algerian company. They were pretty well funded. Now, like when I was in Casablanca recently, there was a big outdoor campaign with Passager. So, I mean, you see like different things. Or when you go like to Kenya, you see Uber, you see Bolt. So many European and local companies try to play the game. Also, like you mentioned, Jumia, big Nigerian e-commerce player. Yes, they played food delivery, but now they're more focusing on e-commerce because e-commerce is super big. So I mean, when you come, like when I come to the market, I'm asking, okay, who is your Amazon? Where are you ordering? Like like your iPhone or AirPods or books or whatever. And sometimes you find out that you have nothing, or you have like players like Jumia or something else who have this assortment, but their operations not usually the best. Or in many markets, I mean, you're asking people, okay, how many e-commerce transactions did you do in the last month? They say, okay, 10. And majority of them were in Instagram. So Instagram shops, like a small, medium business is thriving because demand is there. But sometimes supply is not there, or due to regulation, or due to like operations complexity, or due to many other things. Also, like even if you take Lagos, I mean, the island is super far from the mainland. I mean, there are so many things, and it's very hard to understand. But when you come there, you understand that like despite all people eat 3 times a day, everybody will use food delivery at some point. I mean, to make it happen, I mean, you need to invent something new. So, but yeah, I mean, if to summarize the question, Africa is big, Africa is diverse, and there are a lot of players. So every market is unique. So, or like even in payments, you see like it's like you go to Kenya, M-Pesa, this mobile wallet is number 1. You go to Uganda, it's like a Momo. If you go to Ivory Coast, probably it would be higher Orange or somebody else. If you go to Morocco, you see already developments of credit cards in a better way, and mobile wallets are not that popular. So things are changing. So all the countries that try finding their ways how to cover all existing gaps, like in payments, in any digital part. So, but yeah, in many cases, regulation is not helping.
Very cool. Thank you very much for such a interesting and open answer. And to be honest, when I was go into this conversation when I was preparing for it. In my mind, African market sounded kind of consolidated already, like where possible. And my thought process was that's why companies are tactically, strategically leaving in some markets and concentrating on the places where they already have their operations developed and understood. But based on what you're saying now, it's super different. Everything is open. There is a lot of room for competition. And currently, you're basically building these roads right now as the first movers, and like in different areas in different industries, there are different first movers, but basically there is so much room and the market is so unconsolidated without big players. It's like a wild west
Yeah. In
story,
many ways,
right?
in many ways, it's true. I mean, and it's hard to consolidate sometimes because there are so many things which you need to build infrastructure. So again, it's not something that if you launched Kenya, you know how to launch everything around like Tanzania, like Uganda. I mean, sometimes it's you need to change many things in your playbook and to adjust it and start from the scratch, just because many things are not applicable. So it's not like Europe. I mean, when you launch one country, you know that you buy Google and Meta, then you do this. I mean, you're done. In Africa, like you need to overcome legal and regulation. Then you need to understand how you get payments, because in Europe it's super easy. I mean, you can sign the contract with a DM and you scale your payment
Right.
operations very fast and no problem. In Africa, there is no such solution. And in many cases, even if you get the best provider on the market, you cannot get great conversion. I mean, payment conversions in Africa are pretty poor due to many reasons. And then you need to
And
find a
probably
way
a lot
of,
of cash, right?
yeah, and a lot of cash. No, actually, it's a lot of mobile money. It's a lot of
Really?
mobile money.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so, and mostly mobile money, by the way. But cash as well is super big. And sometimes when people use like cash in Glovo, it means that they will pay with mobile money to the courier. So it's like, but anyway, like markets are super different. When you go, there are very different habits, just because they are jumping from like old fashioned past with cash to new technology. Or like if I take Nigeria, so number one payment method is bank transfers. So people don't use like card payment. You come to the store and you send the bank transfer. So
Directly to the person or to the entity.
to the company, like it's to the entity or to the person, like
Okay.
via IBAN. For instance,
Okay.
like when you go to a restaurant in Barcelona, I guess it's impossible to pay for restaurants asking, give me please your IBAN, I will make a bank transfer.
Right. And wouldn't it
They will
take
tell you,
several days?
no, but in Nigeria, it's instant.
Okay.
It's instant. Again, I guess probably because they were optimizing, they didn't want to pay to Visa and MasterCard this
Right.
interchange costs, and they built infrastructure around this. But I mean, you come and see that bank transfers is like a main payment method. So I mean, and there are a lot of such details, which I mean, not complicate things, but they're different. It's not just plug and play. If you have technology like built for Germany, I don't know, like, and you come just and do the same.
Very cool.
And also it's super big. I mean, because as I say, I mean, you come to a relatively small country like Uganda, again, small in terms of like how it might be perceived when you look onto the map, but it's 50 million people.
Right.
And you need to open cities. There are like a lot of places where people live, like Kampala and Tebe and all those other places, and you need to acquire.
Very cool. As there are so many differences between those markets, like Uganda is not the same as Kenya, and Kenya is very different from Morocco, and so on and so forth. Local teams must play a key role there, right? Because they do understand the mentality, they do understand the rules of the game, the government, the operations, people's habits, etc., etc. Can you please tell more about it? About like
Yeah. So
localization of the operations and how do you guys work with it?
you're totally correct. I think that the first thing that is helping us to succeed and to build a great business there is hiring to local teams. So almost in all markets, we have local GMs and bigger part of local management teams. It of course takes times to find the right people to onboard them well, but I think that it's one of the best things we have, like our local teams. because they really know what we need to do, what we don't need to do, how to navigate this regulatory things, what is real, what is not. I mean, how to read certain situation. For instance, like recently we had a lot of protests in Kenya because of tax bill president raised. I mean, from Europe, it's impossible to understand what is going on, what the problem, what kind of applications you may have. But I mean, locals can you explain very well, or like all the context behind a moped ban in like in Lagos, all the story behind. So these details are impossible to understand without clear context and connections. So first, like 90% of localization is having local team. Of course, we try to have a mix of locals and expatriates because expatriates bring expertise, how application works, how things work. Because also, despite Africa is very different, principles in food delivery are the same. I mean, all people eat three times a day. I mean, you know what's important. You know that you need to have good restaurants, you need to have a good price. So main principles are the same. You just need to understand how to apply first principles into the context you operate in. Secondly, I think that very important, like localization part is to understand how things are being done. For instance, like if people in Nigeria wants to pay for things via bank transfer, probably need to have this in application. But also you need to understand what is the market standard. Because just to add, say like pay by cards, it's great, but most probably nobody will do it. Or I mean, because also it's about changing habits, and like in Tunisia, people use cards only to withdraw their salary. So it's number one, and like 90% of function. Just you get your salary, you withdraw it. So then
no
you pay.
Bank trust.
Yeah, zero bank trust, and also like fees are high. I mean, and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And actually, I saw it before. I mean, in Eastern Europe, like in Uzbekistan, it's more or less the same situation. So
it was a thing for a while in Ukraine as well.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. But like that's why I always remember that quote that future is here. It's just not evenly distributed. So you just need to know what's happened. And some countries are still in the past in certain parts of technology or certain part of industry. And yeah, we were there, but 20 years ago. And for sure, in all these countries, things will change certain way because we know that this is inevitable because it's economically makes sense. So the question is when, because it's matter of investment, matter of education, matter of regulation. So will it happen in 3 years or in 5 years or in 10 years? You never know, but it will happen for sure.
Right. Very interesting. Thank you very much. And my next question that I wanted to ask you is about Glovo leaving some markets this year. It's Ghana specifically, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to ask you about generally the context, because on one hand, Glovo invested over 150 million euros already into the African operations throughout these years of working across the region. And at the same time, this year, I think it was announced that there is new strategy for Glovo Africa, and you guys are investing into the markets and you are expanding the operations there. Could you please share more about this strategy, about the moves that Glovo made, and what's behind it? What should we be waiting for from your next moves?
Okay, so first, I think that number one thing which we need to it's very simple. We as a company learned a lot in the last years in Africa. So now we have much more intel, because when you have only macro stats, I mean, you have some your assumptions. You think this will be big, this will be small, this will be profitable. Here we need to invest, or here you have this average order, whatever. In the last years, we learned a lot. So that's why now we have a lot of intel, which helps us to make much better decisions compared to what we had to do, like being based on some assumptions. Second, I mean, you see that current markets, globally, investors want companies to be profitable, to have very good unit economics, to have a great return on investment. So there is a lot of pressure from investment from the markets. And another very simple question. So all of us, we optimize for better ROI. If you know that if you put here €1 and you get back €2 in a year, But if you put €1 here, then you get €5 a year. So, I mean, for you, prioritization is clear. And when markets are pushing you to be efficient, sometimes you make choices, and then you ask yourself, what is more profitable? I don't know, or strategically more important or easier for us to develop Accra, capital of Ghana, or to launch Port Harcourt, million city in Nigeria, where we already operate, where we have some synergies and economies of scale because of investment like in TV or whatever. So, and when you run this math, knowing that you have, I mean, like limited budget, and still you want to grow, and you're like, and expectations are super high that if you just double the market, everyone will be unhappy. So the bar is super high. So you concentrate your resources like very wisely. And like leaving Ghana was pretty tactical move. So emotionally it's hard because you need to dismiss people. I mean, you feel that you are leaving the country, but when you just run figures, I mean, it's becoming super easy. Of course, I mean, if it was a bit different stage, probably we would take more time. At the same time, I mean, like we want to accelerate faster. We see opportunity, and for us, it's much more smarter to invest where we have higher ROI. From intel we have, from learnings we have. So, and from outside, it looks like Glovo left Ghana. From inside, it's just relocation of money. I mean, it just put where it works best.
Totally makes sense. And what about the next moves? Where is a bigger ROI? Where is Glovo investing now? What are the plans for 2024, 2025?
So first of all, like one of the impressions was you think that we operate in Nigeria or we operate in Morocco. Amazing. You have flag on the map. When you go into details, you see how many cities are still not open or how many people are still unserved. So we have so big room of expansion inside the countries. I was impressed. There are very big cities where we should or set up our operations or improve operations. So we want to double down in existing countries and to cover much more population than we have. And for that also we need to like find more partners like restaurants and supermarkets to double down on restaurants available, because from one hand, when you compare Africa to like, I don't know, Europe, you have much less restaurants or supermarkets per capita or per square kilometer. So I don't know, like you take the biggest like grocery chain in Nigeria, probably it will be less than 60 stores. Top one. So modern trade is not developed, right? Okay. And it's getting developed, and sometimes you cannot. For you it's hard to operate somewhere just because you cannot find this modern type of groceries or QSRs. At the same time,
you have a lot of smaller ones, right?
But yeah, it takes you have a lot of smaller ones. Yeah, but we already proved that it's in many cases it's possible. We just need to scale that part, because also, I mean, you need to be sure that the operations is great, that the experience is great. So it's harder, of course. Like when you, I don't know, sign the deal with ATB in Ukraine, you get 1,000 stores, like one shoot, 1K stores, amazing. Here it's not the case, and that's why it takes time and it takes money, it takes resource, it takes focus. So now, very big focus for us is to double down on expanding in existing countries and bring in more content. Because I mean, it's easy to say, because like I was again recently in Morocco. You see really big queues of people offline when they go to a lot of small places just to have a lunch. So in many of these countries, you already have culture of eating outside. It's not like in Ukraine where when we go outside to the restaurant just because it's Friday or because, to celebrate a week. Yeah, holiday, or because like usually you like eat at home. I mean, it's like a tradition or culture or whatever. In many of these countries, I mean, they eat outside. So we just need to bring the right content in the right places with the right experience. And it sounds super simple. And I mean, food delivery is operationally hard, but it's super simple. Bring right restaurants at the right price and deliver in a good time, and you will have a business. Then the complexity, how to make it happen in a way that it's more or less sustainable. Because I mean, you need to get commission, and like again, like we can go back to like, I don't know, Nigeria, who faces high inflation, and many partners literally operate on a low double-digit gross margin. So for them to pay commission is very hard. I mean, at the same time, petrol, which is being used in motorbikes for couriers, is like just correlates to inflation, goes up and goes up. How to make marketplace work? This is the question to answer, right? And that's why, I mean, it's not something you just do and it's like pops up. And that's why we need to learn more to get more into how to crack it. But it's possible. We saw it, and it's great to be part of Delivery Hero because we saw already many markets which pass through the same. When I look like on Pakistan or some other market, I mean, or other markets in Southeast Asia, yes, they have different contexts, but macroeconomically there are a lot of similarities. Or even if we take ex-USSR countries, I mean, like Georgia or Kazakhstan, yeah, they're much more advanced. But 10 years ago, they were, I mean, in certain ways, pretty close. Or even Ukraine, as we discussed. So, I mean, there are a lot of similarities, but it takes time. So this year, we're doubling down expansion and in existing countries and contents, bringing more content, bringing more right content.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for such a broad answer. And it got me on another thought about the business model, because region to region, country to country, on one hand, the business model, big picture, is the same. But on the other hand, the places where companies are actually making money are different. For example, in India, the cost of labor is very efficient. Many things are very efficient, but the average check is also very small, and companies are not actually making their cash on the deliveries themselves, but rather stuff like ads, payments, and so on and so forth. And there are differences in Europe. There are differences in, again, Asia, different markets. How is it different in Africa from what you have seen before? Or maybe there are differences between even, again, Morocco and Kenya. Maybe you can share some insights, some context.
So, I mean, it's true. You see very different realities, and one of the good like metrics you can use to understand how your unit economics look like. If you, for instance, compare earning per hour of courier divided by average order, because in some markets where you have cheap labor, I mean, it's amazing and relatively high AOV. In some markets, you have like more expensive labor due to some reasons, due to competition or whatever, and you have very low check. And then you need to understand, okay, how we play inside. And in some markets, you can see that delivery fee revenue can be bigger than commission revenue and vice versa. And yeah, in some markets, advertising is pretty big. So first of all, I think that, and we see it, right, that globally retail media, how it's called, is growing a lot because like marketplaces, I don't know, like Instacart or Glovo or like you name it, we give like direct access to many customers, and that's why we can give high ROI for each click we give to brands or to partners. So, and for sure it will grow. And also, like when you check reports of investors reports, like again Instacart or any other open company, you can say, wow, advertising is big. Like it's like, or Amazon.
Even just for Delivery Hero, it's around 2 billion a year already.
Yeah, but like when you compare to GMV, you see that, I mean, it's just the beginning. So you look at guys like Amazon,
just starting, but it is already in billions.
Yeah. So this is a big lever, and for sure ads help us to keep like unit economics work better and make us more accessible to users from one hand, and give more competitive compensation to couriers. So ads a big lever. At the same time, if we talk about Africa, so yeah, I mean, in some markets, again, like Morocco, ads accelerating a lot because you have presence of many brands and a lot of restaurant chains. They know how it works and they want to invest. And it's like a good lever for us. In some markets, just beginning. So for instance, like in some markets, brand advertising is super big. Like if I take Uganda, we just starting because a majority of companies that operate from Nairobi. I mean, there are a lot of things. At the same time, if you ask me, of course, like advertising will be big everywhere. When it depends.
Absolutely.
It depends. And yeah, also you're right that, I mean, when we look on the balance of unit economics, market by market, it's super different. And sometimes our strategy may differ in terms of how aggressive we're in promo, or how we're acquiring customers, through which messages, how to make it work in a sustainable way. So in some markets, you see that partners prefer advertising. In some, you see that they prefer promo. I mean, there are a lot of small differences, but in the end, it's what you can, how you can continue penetrating the market, scaling the fleet, getting more restaurants in the way that nobody churns, like in the commissions levels or delivery fee levels, which work for all the parts of marketplace. And the food delivery is hard in this way because you have three-sided marketplace, and you need to make it work from three sides. And sometimes, I mean, it's hard to find, especially like when you have high inflation and one part of marketplace inflates like hell, another part, like for instance, like we can go back to Nigeria. From one hand, people's income is not increasing, and that's why their purchasing power is not increasing. At the same time, petrol price is going up, and now you have a dilemma because your fleet is getting more expensive, and your average order value is not growing that fast. So how you make it happen? So it's I mean, and then you think, okay, we can price again, we can increase prices, but our audience will grow slower. So, but what is better for the company? What is the absolute value? I mean, it's a good question. I don't have like one answer which will fits all, but of course,
it's
like
still
it's
commission driven, right? So it's still you're still trying to make it healthy and sustainable on the commission. It's not the idea that was given up that like, hey, this market cannot really pay these commissions, and we have to rebuild the model completely.
So we have some cases with some partners when, first, we can have very low commission revenue, but we have very high ad revenue. So we have some exceptions, tactical exceptions, because also we try to learn and to understand how it works, because we still want to have partnership. But yeah, in the current stage, it's mostly commission driven. At the same time, I mean, in 5 years, it may change. Also, when you check many marketplaces, okay, if you take classifieds like OLX, it's mostly ads revenue, and it may happen as well. It may happen as well in some markets. So it depends. It depends. And again, like, it's also a learning curve for us.
Very cool. Thank you very much for an answer. And today is definitely a very interesting episode because, again, very, very interesting region. A lot of things happening there. And what I learned quite recently about Africa is that quick commerce is also a place which could actually make sense in Africa. And I heard about Nigeria, and you please tell me how is Glovo operating in that direction if you are. But what I heard is that in Nigeria, people live in bigger communities. So it's not like in Europe where the household is like 1, 2, 3 people max, but it's like 6, 8, 10 people living together. And basically, in this case, because also the retail is not as developed as it is in Europe, it makes sense for people to order online and order quick commerce, order from the dark store. If the dark store is bigger than the European regular 2000 SKU like dark store, but something with more to choose, and it makes sense both for people and for the business because the order basket is higher on one hand because it's for more people, and on the other hand, people are getting the choice that they cannot get in many places where they live. And there are, I'm sure, a lot more interesting things like this, which make some business models which are not as relevant or not economically viable developed European cities are working in places like African markets, like India, and so on and so forth. Maybe you can share some context about Glovo's grocery and quick commerce ops. And in general, maybe there are some also insights into the cultural parts
Okay.
of life in Africa as well, which make the business interesting for you.
Okay, so yeah, of course, like e-commerce is a big part for us, and we were doing like Glovo historically was focused on multi-category, and we were doing e-commerce like since like 2017 probably or 2018, I don't remember, like for a long time. And in the markets like Africa, I mean, when you have a lot of people with low income, I mean, of course, e-commerce is bigger because probably you cannot afford going to a restaurant, but definitely you buy food somewhere else, and like the demand is clearly there. Also, from another hand, you have a limitation that like we usually work with big chains. If you talk about Europe, like I mean, I don't know, like if you take Ukraine, like ATB, or like if in Barcelona there's Meteor Higiene or Carrefour, or like yeah, like and also like Carrefour is our very big partner in many markets. But in Africa, modern trade is not developed. Yes, it's developing very fast. Chains are opening, and I'm sure like modern trade will be dominant soon, like 3, 5 years, I don't know. At the same time, when you look in the total market, in many cases, modern trade is less than 20%. So, and the question is how to make it. And that's why I think that for us, it's much easier. But I mean, we see a great traction for our dark stores, like NFC business in several markets, just because, I mean, you don't have modern trade if you want to go and order it from where. So like our dark store is a very good place. And yes, we're increasing number of SKUs, we're increasing number of sub verticals just because, I mean, there is a huge demand or, like it's very easy to feel like you go to the market, you say, okay, where did you buy fruits last time? I mean, never supermarket. Or where did you buy your iPhone? I mean, and people tell you, no, I'm bringing it from abroad, or no, there is one Instagram shop from where I buy because the price is better. Because there is also on top of regulation, or sometimes, I mean, very good things, and also very, very funny, like it's Tunisia. And if you go to any big chain, you won't be able to buy bananas because for some reason, number one distributor, which is monopoly, they were not able to bring bananas now. But when you go to a small, like local shop, you easily find bananas from Algeria. And if you want to go bananas, you cannot go to modern trade. And there are so many examples which show you that there is a demand, but you have to capture it somehow. So, I mean, a lot of interesting context, and like vertical is growing super fast. So e-commerce is growing and in many verticals, and like, or like let's take pharmacies or beauty. Like when you live in Europe, for you it's fine that in every like 1 kilometer radius you have a good place where you can buy everything. In these countries, sometimes only way to get some basic SKUs is just to go online, order e-commerce, and wait for a week, or not for a week, for 3 days. And that's why it creates a lot of opportunities. And e-commerce is a big part for us focus. And like we sign in big partnerships, we're thinking how to make it happen. Also, I think that for us, it'll be interesting how to crack e-commerce through working with small, medium businesses as well, because sometimes it's only way to get assortment. Again, like if you want to have bananas in Tunisia, you need to work with the small guys, because big chains, they cannot make it.
Right.
If you want to bring iPhone at a good price in Morocco, you need to work with the smaller guys. And there are a lot of interesting things around it. So really looking forward, because like I don't have answers for all your questions, just because we as a company still young in Africa, and we're all learning how to make it like in a sustainable, in a scalable way. Because of course, probably we could buy the same Algerian bananas and sell it somehow, but it's not scalable. So, and there are many questions which we have on this head. Or another data funny thing. So, I was on the market, I was asking people who watch Netflix. All hands raised. Who pay for Netflix? Nobody pays for Netflix, because they're using somebody else's account, and they cannot pay because their credit cards are not being processed.
Okay.
So I asked, okay, if you had to pay for Netflix, how would you do? I would go to this place and would buy a promo code. So if you want to buy Spotify subscription, you cannot pay it with your credit card. You need to go to a guy and buy a promo code which you will redeem, and or for instance, like in Morocco, we have a big store, online store, where you can buy top up for your Orange account. So you pay in Glovo, and you
The
can
scratch
get
card?
no, it's you get technically you get like a virtual scratch card.
Okay.
So I mean, and sometimes with some things you never expect because by default you think that it should be easy. It's not easy, and it creates another kind of niches for you. Like you can call them e-commerce, you can call them e-commerce. I don't know, but still there are many. There is a lot of demand from customers to buy something which is not easy or like user friendly to buy. Again, like imagine you want to buy Spotify, you need to buy a promo code, from random guy. Amazing. So you just can imagine how Spotify would grow if
Yeah.
people just could pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like in some countries, like you talk to payment provider and he says, no, you can pay, but we don't support subscription model. So we cannot charge cards regularly for
Oh,
subscription.
wow.
And that's why subscription in this market works differently. You have to buy annual subscription only. Or I
So that
mean,
you pay one time. Yeah.
yeah, one time. Or people say, no, I want to have a subscription, but I want to pay by cash. Okay, how you're going to collect cash? So um, so I
Very,
can
very,
continue, but like when you find these small details, because I mean it's
yeah.
not clear. You see like it's normal. They have internet, they have smartphones, they have this, they have that. But then you go into details, you understand that just to unlock every small piece of the business, you need to adjust a bit your model, how you operate.
Right.
But if you do it, you have a good traction, even in small things which would never pick up in any European
Right.
country, just because it's like
Yeah.
just like high hygiene thing.
It is very, very interesting to dive deeper into the again African specifics, and it's not fair even to say African specifics because like Africa is so huge we just cannot comprehend it. But again, into every market's specific. And what is really cool is that on one hand, African markets, African countries are skipping some steps of the technology development. Like they go to smartphones right away, and they have many other things that is a new thing here, but we have some legacies in Europe. But at the same time, some steps are not skipped, like the scratch cards, kind of the
Yeah.
voucher
No, yeah, it's true.
thing, and
Sometimes there is no legacy, and it's cool, and there is no regulation. You can do whatever you want. That's why sometimes, like in some niches, you have beautiful fintech, which you like, which you don't see it in Europe. But in some places, you have like legacy from 80s or from 90s. It's like, wow, I did not think it existed. So wow. So,
very cool.
no, and
Maybe,
that's why you have this lovely mix of things which are super technological. You will say, wow, these guys are really had it's super cool. Like like even like when you talk about bank transfers, instant bank transfer, it's not reality in Europe in majority of cases.
right.
So it's okay. Probably if in Revolut it will take probably around 1 hour, not dramatical, but instant payments from one bank to another one, it's not
Not
standard.
possible.
There, it's fine. Or again, mobile wallets. Can you buy something using your like I don't know, Orange account in Spain? No, it's impossible. There, like it's not a big deal. You can do whatever you want. But then you see other parts of it, like people are cooking their food on call, or sometimes you see just very weird regulations. Like okay, it's like 80s, 90s, or whatever, and then mix of it creates very unique context in which you operate.
Very interesting. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of new things that you'll explore as you dive deeper and deeper into this. We spoke about it already, and you mentioned a lot about the regulations and some funny cultural specifics that are kind of blocking the development. But maybe you can share something else, or you have some other ideas. What do you think can actually unlock and supersede the African development, the development of the markets? Because every everybody has been talking about Africa as a continent and that it's a next big thing for decades already, but it still kind of didn't pop. Again, a lot of things are happening, a lot of young population, huge cities we cannot comprehend with tens of millions of people, very developed places that we will be surprised. But at the same time, again, there is a lot of stuff that needs some work, and in many cases, I'm sure that it's just blocked by something, maybe somebody's interests, legacy, etc., etc. What do you think could make and give this push? Is it the again the laws base, or maybe you see something else?
No, look, first of all, I mean, despite everything, it's fair to mention that there are a lot of tailwinds already. You have a lot of young population, a quality of internet, and GDP are growing. So a lot of things are just happening, or like infrastructure is improving every year. So there are a lot of tailwinds. I mean, it's already helping. Second, I mean, unfortunately, there is no like a silver bullet. I think, like the famous quote that there is no shortcut to success. You have to take the stairs. So we have to take the stairs. We need to bring more restaurants at a good pricing and deliver them well. Because also, like, let's take like now, fortunately, rain season is over in East Africa. But I mean, when it was flooding like hell because infrastructure is not great, and there are a lot of places when you cannot go. I mean, of course, it limits you a lot. But from one hand, we as a food delivery need to find the way how to deliver during the flood. There are ways probably. From the other hand, we have a tailwind. It will be solved in a year soon, just because country is developing fast and they will fix it.
Right.
But in the end, it's bring good restaurants to the or supermarkets to the application, ensure that your fleet is delivering well, and ensure that you have a right price that everybody can buy. So if you, for instance, eat your lunch at home for $3, okay, ensure that you have $3 meal in the application. If you do this well on the scale, because also like, I mean, winning Nairobi doesn't mean winning Mombasa, or winning one neighborhood doesn't mean winning another neighborhood. So it's because, I mean, you can say, no, like I live in Berlin or whatever. Like when I'm at the office, I open application, I see hundreds of restaurants. I go at home, open application, that 2 restaurants. So from one hand, one player won you on your working place and lost you on when you're on the weekend at your home. So we need to win every neighborhood. So to win every neighborhood, it's also like easy. Bring more restaurants, ensure that everyone has access to all use cases. Because I can give you a recent example. So Barcelona, I need to order new AirPods because all are broken. So I go to Amazon, I see the price, then I say, okay, let's check Glovo. I go to Glovo, I see the very same price, but will be delivered during the hour. I pay and I get it in 30 minutes. Literally, because Fnac is not far from me. So why I need to order from Amazon if it will be delivered tomorrow when I do the same in Glovo? So there are so many use cases. If you because like sometimes you go and say, okay, price is higher, probably I will wait. But when you have a fair price, with a good service, and it's available to you, you just do it. Just because you don't want to jump from another place to another, to one place to another, just to find how to make it. So I would order more things from food delivery apps if they were available. And in Africa, it's like in the different level, because like one of my favorite things when I go to the market, I order 10 or 15 coffees. So I go into the office, like, okay, team, who wants a coffee? Let's make a crash test. So people raise the hands, I go to app and order the coffee. So first level, do I have coffee available in application? Because we know that many partners, they don't want to put the coffee because they know that
the spillage.
Yeah. Okay, you have a coffee, you order coffee, and then you see what happens. Because if it's getting spilled, you send the photos to support, you get orders refund, and then the company is not happy because it was super unprofitable. They have another one motivation to fix it. But it's in some markets you order coffee and it just fine. It arrives. It's cool. Nothing happens. And they say, okay, so use case done. What will happen if I order watermelon? Like, what will happen? Will they order? Will they deliver? Or what will happen if I order ice cream? Will I get ice cream or I will get something totally melted? But
Nice.
when you bring this, when you have availability and when you are reliable in terms of service, I mean, business is growing. So here we just need to do this, and everything will grow like exponentially, like I don't know, like compound interest. So there are no shortcuts. And Africa again, like it's even more complicated because literally no shortcuts. You cannot sign one chain and get like thousands of stores. Impossible. You go one by one, and then like you need to, and also you need to help partners to improve their operations. Or also like in Tunis, I went to one partner to see how they're operating on the kitchen, and they showed me their POS system. POS system looked like DOS, like not Windows but DOS.
Yeah.
I said, wow. I mean, it's like a how did they define it? It's like it's from 70s or what? So, but then, yeah, one day they will move to a good POS system. They will go through digitalization, and they also will improve even further. And they will be able to absorb not like 100 orders, for instance, an hour, but 200.
Right.
Because in many cases in Africa, I mean, kitchens are limited because they have call, they have one lady doing everything, and say, look, in 1 hour we can do 10 orders offline plus online. So you can give us whatever you want, promo and whatever, but we can do this. We cannot do more because we have only one lady, and we cannot have more because of space or because of some. I mean, it's okay, wow. Or sorry, I mean, we don't have electricity in this hour, so we cannot. I mean, and you need to solve it because to sign the contract is the easiest, to be honest. You can sign the contract, and they say, okay, let's sign the contract. But the hard to get flow of orders,
right?
Which is good orders, which go without dramas. Because I mean, you have many cases when you sign and then you get cancellations because of many reasons. And also education. I mean, many people, they don't know how to create email, or sometimes they even don't know how to read. I mean, it's a different type of complexity. It's like, I can tell you, can you go out of your room? You say, yeah, of course, like, no, not a big deal. I say, okay, now I will close your eyes, put your 200 kilograms backpack. Can you get out of the room? Still yes, but it's becoming more complicated. So in some areas, I feel that we have very simple tasks, but in a not a hard, but like in complex context. Right. And that's why we need to learn how to make this fast on the scale. Because anyway, Africa, like other countries, they will get there probably in 10 years. The question is how we can get there, not in 10, but in 5 years.
Yeah.
How we can execute it better. So what are not the hacks, but what are know-hows on this particular market, how to accelerate scaling in a sustainable level of investment. Because also, I mean, food delivery is not a rocket science. I mean, if you give food for free, you can grow your business X 100 like tomorrow.
That's the case.
No, but also
that was done right by many players for some time.
But we saw it. I love the cases from Rappi in like Colombia, when you could withdraw money, get cash, like you pay like 100 and you get 102 or something like that. So I mean, when you like, it's easy. I mean, or like one meat one in the early days was like minus 90%. Like, and we know it. So, but now it's a bit different context of the markets. You cannot play this game. But yeah, I mean, if you give food for free, we will fly. The question is how to make this habit stick and how to ensure the experience is great. Because yeah, when food is free, you can wait for 2 hours. You can eat cold. You don't care. But when you pay, okay, you won't get something on the scale. Because if every third order is bad, I mean, you won't order, because lunch, you need to have reliability, because you have one slot, you're hungry, you want to eat. If every third time anybody will fail, you won't use the service. True. And also for us to earn, I mean, if user churns after second order, there is no business.
Yeah.
So how to make this flawless operations on the scale, or I mean, reliable? What is with high level of reliability on the scale? In the context when you have problems with electricity, problems with operations, floods, whatever. So this challenge. So again, sorry, but no shortcuts. We just need to do what we do and think how to make it faster and smarter and cheaper.
Sounds like a lot of fun on this journey, and sounds very exciting. No shortcuts, adapt or die, but that's That's the truth, and thank you for sharing. I think it's a very interesting and broad answer that provides all the context. And I think that this is actually the case everywhere now, right? There is no such thing as helicopter money anymore. Many players had to retreat, close, merge, etc. And that's how the market in general, the food delivery market, is maturing, and I'm sure we'll still see surprises. But it's great to hear from the market representatives like you that it is not about the hype and the shortcuts and speedy some speedy miracles that many people were relying on, but it's hard day-to-day execution, calculations, being strategic and consistent in what you do, and that is super exciting. Thank you very much, Dima. Maybe you can or you want to share anything else about Glovo, your plans, your ideas.
I mean, to be honest, like first of all, like probably I will be able to share it later when I learn even more. Also, to be honest, I a bit think that if you do everything well, some miracles will happen, like as a side effect of doing things well. Also, I mean, just want to summarize that Africa is a great opportunity, and it's true, very, very, very fun. So anything what I can add that, I mean, I think that it's a great journey for everybody. And we have a lot of open roles on the markets. So I already was posting it on LinkedIn, and I mean, it's available on the website. There are many cool positions how to participate in this fun and the way to contribute and to learn. So I mean, so if
Sounds
anybody will
exciting,
join or apply, I will be super happy
and we will
because we are
leave
hiring.
your profile
Okay.
in the description,
Okay.
so that guys, if you want to work with Dima, if you want to conquer some food delivery heights with Glovo in Africa, apply, join. I'm sure that's going to be fun. I got excited after this conversation, and I'm super excited to talk to you more later after some time, and learn more about the Glovo journey, your journey, and the developments in Africa.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was really cool to talk. So yeah, have a good day, and I
Great
hope you will
stuff.
enjoy
Thank you
the
so
talk.
much. Guys, like, subscribe, and share if you liked it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you again, Dima, for joining.